You can get the cards you need for today's Budget Magic deck and support the show from this episode's sponsor, Card Kingdom. Just follow the link in the description box down below. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. So this week, we are heading to Modern to play a budget-friendly version of Taxes, mono white taxes, basically kind of a weird take on White Weenie. We're not really an aggro deck, although we do have a lot of cheap creatures, but instead of just playing like Savannah Lions, 2 powered 1-drops, trying to get in fast damage, we're going for creatures that are kind of annoying and taxing our opponent, trusting that the disruption is going to make up for the fact that our creatures aren't as powerful. You could call this a hate bears deck, although we don't actually have that many real bears, as in 2/2s for 2 in the deck, but that's the basic idea. Be somewhat aggressive, but almost all of our creatures have some sort of disrupting element to them that's going to slow our opponent down, and hopefully that allows us to annoy and stop our opponent just enough that we can get in some damage and close out the game. So, as you can see, $93 in the paper world, 11 ticks on Magic Online. Also worth mentioning, one of the nice parts about this deck is you can upgrade towards an actual Death and Taxes list. Death and Taxes, not a tier 1 archetype in Modern, but it's a reasonable archetype. There's like green-white builds. I guess mono-white is kind of a thing. Eldrazi taxes. So you have a bunch of ways you can build from this shell into a more tier archetype, like a tier 2.5 range type deck. So anyway, a quick reminder before we break down mono-white taxes for Modern. If you enjoyed this deck and you enjoy Budget Magic in general, it would be amazing of you if you could take a second, click that subscribe button down at the bottom of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk some taxes, starting with our spell taxing effects. So step 1, we want to slow down non-creature spells, and for this we have a bunch of options starting on turn 1 going up to turn 3. Judge is familiar. It's kind of funny. It is almost a 1-mana Thalia. Yes, it doesn't last forever, and we might have to sack it, but it's surprising how often opponents just treat it almost like a Thalia, where they play off curve and play around it forever, which kind of makes it like a 1-mana Thalia Guardian of Thraben. Meanwhile, Thalia, 2/1 first strike on the ground, just makes all non-creature spells cost 1 more. Our deck has a playset of Declaration in Stone as our only non-creature spells, so it's not really hurting us at all. And against our opponent, it should be hurting them at least a little. And in some matchups, this is our single best card. Like a deck like Storm, or even an Arclight Phoenix deck. Those decks really struggle if every time you try to cast a 1-mana cantrip, you gotta pay 2 mana for it. So it's a card that those decks really gotta get off the battlefield. And then Vryn Wingmare, kind of a budget Thalia. It costs 1 more mana, which is a drawback. It doesn't come down as quickly. However, it does have flying, so it can chip in for some damage and has exactly the same ability as Thalia. The other nice thing is we can stack it up with Thalia. Thalia is legendary, so you can't just have 2 Thalias on the battlefield, but we can have a Thalia and a Vryn Wingmare, which makes all non-creature spells 2 more to cast, which is a huge disruption for a lot of decks in Modern. Most decks are playing at least some non-creature spells, and a lot of decks are really built around non-creature spells. So we start off slowing down the spells, then we have some land disruption. So Liaronin Arbiter makes it so players have to pay 2 to search their library, essentially. So this can slow down fetch lands, which we're a budget deck, we have no fetch lands, doesn't hurt us at all. So it can't just hit on fetch lands, hit on random like Primeval Titans or Scape Shifts or any search effect. More importantly, we have 4 Ghost Quarters, 3 Field of Ruins, which are cards that allow us to blow up one of our opponent's lands, but normally let our opponent search for a replacement in the form of a basic land. Well, if we have Leonin Arbiter out, we can just Ghost Quarter when our opponent's tapped out, and we get a Strip Mine out of our Ghost Quarter. Field of Ruin kind of becomes a Strip Mine as well, a little more expensive, but it's a way we can really fight against lands, so obviously helpful against Tron, but if we have Arbiter out, we can just kind of play the Strip Mine plan as we're taxing our opponent's spells so they interact well with our Thalias and Vryn Wingmare, because our opponent has less mana to spend to pay for the taxes, so a nice synergy there. And then Thalia Heretic Cathar, just a one of, but I mean, it makes non-basic lands and creatures come into play tap, so if our opponent is going to play a fetch and then fetch out a shock land, that's making them play way off curve, and then making making creatures come into play tapped, it's actually kind of nice against Arclight Phoenix. Our opponent, yeah, you get back these hasty Arclight Phoenixes, but if they're tapped, they can't actually attack right away. Plus, a 3-2 with first strike for 3, not bad stats. So that's land disruption. Then we have a couple of kind of random disruption cards. Dryad Militant gives us an extra 1-drop with 2 power, which is nice, and exiles any instant or sorcery that would go to the graveyard from anywhere, so this is kind of interesting value-wise. It's not getting rid of those Arclight Phoenixes or Dredge threats. However, it is getting rid of Creeping Chills against Dredge, and Conflagrates against Dredge, and Faithless Lootings if people want to flash back, and Mystical Teachings, so it is relevant as well, and it just keeps a graveyard in check against like Gurmag Anglers, not giving it the fuel for Delve. Tide Taker slows down counter spells primarily by taxing our opponent a mana if they want to cast stuff in our turn or activate abilities in our turn. So if our opponent wants to like Cryptic Command to tap down our team to not take lethal damage, they're going to have to pay 1 more, and sometimes that 1 is pretty relevant. Plus, if Tide Taker dies, we get a 1/1 out of the deal, so a resilient threat. Then we have kind of plan 2 of our deck, which is a more unique way of disruption and grind, and this starts off with Eldrazi Displacer, which is just 2 and a colorless mana to flicker a creature. Comes back into play tap, but that's fine. So here we have a few different tricks. Trick number 1 is actually an old legacy trick that doesn't really show up in Modern very often, but Mangara of Corondor. So Mangara, legendary creature, it's kind of like a Oblivion Ring on a body. You can tap it, exile it, and target permanent from the game. The most important thing here is there's a trick. The way Mangara is worded, you tap it, and that's the cost of activating it. The exiling Mangara and a permanent, that is the effect. So when we tap Mangara, it's still going to be on the battlefield, and we're going to have this trigger on the stack that says exile Mangara and something else of our choice. Well, with that trigger on the stack, if we can displace Mangara, we still get to exile the permanent that we chose, but our Mangara going to come back into play, not going to exile itself because it's a new object. So this combo gives us repeatable removal for any permanent, exile-based removal every single turn once we get it going, which is really powerful. Also, we just have some grindy value. Eldrazi Displacer combines with Core Skyfisher, just a 1-up, but bounces a permanent of ours when it comes into play, to reuse our Thraben Inspectors to keep making clues, to keep drawing cards, and our Militia Bugler, just a 1-up, but most of our creatures are cheap enough that we can hit it. So if the game goes long, we can displace and Skyfisher these cards to keep a steady stream of card advantage going. And that's basically the plan of the deck. Our finisher is Venerated Loxodon, which is a 4/4 for 1 mana, 0 mana sometimes. With all of our cheap creatures, we often get our taxing effects out. And then we can use the Convoke ability on Loxodon to not only get a 4/4 for really cheap, but also grow the rest of our team, which is kind of important because our creatures are pretty small, but making our random like 1 and 2 power flyers into 2 and 3 power flyers lets us close out the game much, much quicker. And I mean, a 4/4 for free, that's kind of like a slow hollow one, I guess, in the worst case scenario. Otherwise, for removal, Declaration in Stone, Path to Exile, a bit too expensive for the budget. We would definitely play Path to Exile if it was cheaper, but Declaration in Stone does have some upsides. Getting rid of a whole bunch of the same creature is nice, especially good against tokens. Mana base, we talked about Ghost Quarter, Field of Ruin being our combo pieces with the Arbiter, a bunch of planes to cast our stuff. In the sideboard, we have some more taxing effects. Remorseful Cleric for graveyards, Eidolon of Rhetoric, makes everyone cast 1 spell a turn. Really good against Phoenix decks in specific, but any sort of big turn, chain stuff together combo deck. Leonin Relic Warder, Fiend Hunter give us some removal creatures. Relic Warder gets rid of artifacts or enchantments while it's on the battlefield. Fiend Hunter, the same for creatures. And then Lone Missionary helps against burn and other aggro decks, just gaining us life, being blinkable with our Displacer. Burrowed Forge Tender, mostly protection for our board. It stops things like Anger of the Gods from sweeping our board. Also stops like big Conflagrates that could kill us. Lightning Storms to the face. Pretty helpful thanks to protection from red. And that is Mono White Taxes for Modern. And that's our budget magic deck for this week. So this is going to be an interesting one. Are our taxing effects good enough to slow our opponent down, let us pick up some wins? We're going to find out. So let's jump into the games, see how the deck actually works. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Alright, budget magic time. We are playing some Mono White Taxes, and we have the all colorless hand. Alright, got a mulligan. Okay. I mean, this hand's not a bad 6. Hopefully we're playing Tron. Got him. Opponent's also going to 6. Plains, I think we go bottom. We don't really need another one. 3 lands is pretty much enough for this deck. Outside of, like, Leonin Arbiter shenanigans. Plains go. Opponent. Polluted Delta. And passes. Well, more Plains. Play Field of Ruin. Play Thalia. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta. Watery Grave. Tapped. So most like, well, I was going to say Death Shadow, but they got the tapped Watery Grave. It could just be some sort of Esper blue-black control deck. Sultai Reclamation. Opponent passes. Well, play the Plains. Go to combat. Get in with Thalia. Play Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. Play Tithe Taker. And pass the turn. Opponent cracks Misty. Breeding Pool. Alright, so probably Sultai Wilderness Reclamation. Oh, Leonin Arbiter would be our greatest of draws, I think. Opponent. This Thalia might be doing work. Island. Gross. Alright, so definitely Sultai Wilderness Reclamation. Gets a Tar Pit. Opponent. Come on, Arbiter. Displacer. Alright, well, play Ghost Quarter. Play Displacer. Convoke out Venerated Loxodon. And pass the turn. Alright, let's see if this is enough. We got a fast clock. We'll see what our opponent has. Random Sweeper is annoying. Alright, there's Wilderness Wreck. That's not great. Opponent. Passes, untaps. Yup. Gross Spiral. Interesting. Wow! Does not hit a land and scoops it up. Alright, well, that went surprisingly well. Bad news is, we don't have that much to fight this deck, honestly, outside of our main deck. We can bring in the Relic Warder, go down Declaration in Stone, go down Declaration in Stone, Eidolon of Rhetoric. I don't know if that's worth it. Maybe Remorseful Cleric? Their graveyard, I mean, Eidolon might be fine. Let's bring in Eidolon of Rhetoric. Go down. We just really can't play Declaration in Stones. Eidolon does do some things. Let's bring in a Remorseful Cleric, too. Let's try it like that. I mean, really, I think what we want is kind of like that game, but maybe with Leonin Arbiter. Our spell taxing effects are definitely helpful if they stick. Opponents on the play for game number 2. Like, Thalias and Vren Wingmares are relevant. Are they good enough? We'll see. I mean, having a fast clock also helps. Just like pressure, taxes. That's what the deck's trying to do, basically. I think we're going to keep this. It is greedy, but we're going to keep. We have. This hand is pretty good if we draw land in our first 2 turns. Judge is familiar. Thalia. Land? Ugh. 3-drop. Alright. Well, now one of one things will happen. I guess one of 2 things at this point still. Either we draw land next turn or we don't. Opponent gets a Watery Grave, passes. Oh, it was a greedy keep, but this hand is so good if we draw the land. Alright. Well, punished. Yes, you can yell at me now. That's fair. The upside is just so high that it's hard to actually ship this hand. We have basically every piece that we want and need to win this game. Opponent, Gross Spirals. Yeah, I mean, we're going to counter it. Yeah, we needed to hit a land, though. Now we're dead. Island. Opponent, passes. Well, there's a land. Unfortunately, it is way too late. Well, we get down to Thalia. Opponent has Fatal Push. Well, let's see if they got Wilderness Wreck. Opponent, Forest. No Reclamation yet. Cryptic mana, though. Let's play Skyfisher. Mystical Teachings. Yup. Gets a Cryptic. Sure. Well, bounce a Plains. Replay the Plains. Play Thraben Inspector. Get a clue, pass the turn. So we sort of have a clock, but our opponent sort of has Cryptic in hand, and Mystical Teachings in the graveyard. Another land. Opponent. Passing. Yup. Well, let's see what we draw. Arbiter. Well, go to combat. Attack. Play Tithe Taker. Opponent cracks. Breeding Pool. And there's El Cryptic. Yep. Opponent thinking. Tasigur. That's annoying and big. Opponent passes. Well, how do we do this? Play Leone and Arbiter. There's a logic knot. Yep. Well, get in with Skyfisher. Hit our opponent. Ghost Quarter, go. Opponent. Oh dear, there's Wilderness Wreck. Alright. Opponent, combat. Gets in with Tasigur. Yeah, down to 16. Sure. Untaps. Alright, floats a mana, untaps. Kills our Skyfisher. Only 2 cards in hand, though. We draw Plains. Well, go to combat. Get in with Thraben Inspector. Play Mangara. Opponent. Okay, Cryptid Cursion. Well, pass the turn. Well, we'll see what our opponent has. The problem is this Mystical Teachings. Lets our opponent tutor up whatever they need, and then that's really bad. Gets in with Tasigur. Down to 12. Wilderness Wreck. Gonna float a bunch of mana. Untap. Blue Sun Zenith to refuel. Opponent passes. How do we do this? Let's play Leone and Arbiter. Go to combat. Attack. Play Thalia. Opponent Growth Spirals. Puts a Tar Pit into play. Alright, pass the turn. Probably gonna have to exile this Wilderness Reclamation, I guess. I feel like we're pretty far behind at this point, though. Opponent. Combat. And they're at an ungodly life total. Well, get rid of Wilderness Reclamation. Opponent. Thinking it over. Million mana. Come on, cast that Teachings with our Arbiter out. Alright. So, get rid of Wilderness Reclamation. Opponent passes. So... Play Eidolon of Rhetoric. Pass the turn. Got him. Got him. Arbiter. We got him. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That was good. Shame Scoop? I think we're still not very favored to win, but we'll take a Shame Scoop. Yield of Guin. Opponent. Passing. Alright. Well, play Eldrazi Displacer. Whew, alright. Well, get rid of Tar Pit. This does cost us our colorless mana for Displacer. Oh, I think our opponent has Cryptic, but they can't cast it through Thalia. Our taxes are actually doing something here. Alright. Pass the turn. Opponent is at 26, though, and has the biggest creature. Tasigur activation. Yeah, I guess Crypt Incursion does the least at the moment. Another land for our opponent. Maybe this Eidolon's not worth it. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. Alright. Take it. Down to 8. Ugh, Nexus. Yup. Shuffles in. Land. Opponent. Gets in. Well, I mean, down to 4. We're taking it. Opponent pretty clearly has Cryptic in hand, too. Maybe we should have started chumping. Opponent passes. Plains. Locks it on. Cryptic. Yeah, now we're dead. Yeah, I guess we should have started chumping. I don't think there was any realistic way of us winning that game, though. We got to get off to a faster start. Missing that land drop. Super not good for us. Is Eidolon worth it? Let's go up another Remorseful Cleric and go down one Eidolon. Run it like that. Yeah, we definitely need a faster start. We are in the play, which is good. Oh, God. This again. Alright. One lander. Here we go. We are a 23 land deck. We're not skimping that much. Opponent. Thinking. Well, Plains and Militant. Pass the turn. Polluted Delta for our opponent. Passes. Land, please? No. Well, get in with Dryad Militant. Play Judge's Familiar. Opponent cracks. Watery Grave. Tapped. Well, pass the turn. We're going to need lands. Maybe we just should not keep one-landers. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that might be where we're at in the world. Opponent passes. 3-drop. Well, go attacking. Hit our opponent. Play Thraben Inspector. Opponent untaps. island, and passes land. Alright, it's a Ghost Quarter. I'll play Ghost Quarter, play Tithe Taker. Opponent ups to the top. Well, go to combat, attack. Opponent to 10, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. There's the green mana. Growth Spiral, resolves. Polluted Delta. Opponent passing. We draw. Arbiter. Well, go to combat, attack. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta down to 9. Breeding Pool, tapped. Well, Arbiter. And I mean, this is it. Opponent needs a Wrath, I think, or like Cryptic Chaining. Land. Ugh, Pulse Marasa. Alright. That keeps our opponent alive for the time being. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opponent passing. We draw a Plains. Well, play the Plains. Go to combat. Attack. Opponent runs out a Snapcaster Mage. Okay. What's Snapcaster gonna do? Blocks Arbiter. Unblocks Arbiter. Blocks Arbiter. Well, play Mangara. Pass the turn. Opponent's back down to 3. Opponent. Land. Cracks it. 2. And passes. We untap. Combat. Opponent has Cryptic. Tap draw. Do we hit a land with Mangara? Yeah, I think we do. Get rid of Tar Pit. Opponent's gonna float a mana. Okay. Taps us. Well, play Thalia. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Draws. Delta. Boy, this is close. Can we finish it off? Oh, this is so close. The problem is there's always a sweeper lurking. Our Dryad Militant's been great. Oh, Desperation Growth Spiral. Sure. Land. Gotta be tapped. We might have this. We might have this. They don't have the mana for Wilderness Reclamation. Cycles Obstructionist. We got there! We taxed them out, and opponent scoops it up, and whoo, budget taxes. Those little effects, they all add up. Those little tiny bits of value. Oh, thank goodness. That was a really close match, but all those little tiny annoyances, they really stack up to big problems when you just have so many of them. Like, Judge's Familiar here, a Thalia there, an Arbiter there. None of those effects are just game-breaking, but if you stack up enough on the battlefield, you can take down some pretty good decks with a budget deck. Sweet. Alright, budget magic time. We are playing some mono white taxes in Modern, and I mean, this hand's fine. It looks pretty reasonable for our opponent, and passes. Well, Plains and yeah, let's just Thraben Inspector. This opens up next turn Skyfisher to bounce it, or we'll see what our opponent's doing. We could also just play 2 1-drops. Utopia Sprawl on red. Panza, we're getting Panza'd. I'll play a Plains, play Judge's Familiar, play Thraben Inspector. Go to combat. Attack. We might regret not just Ghost Quartering this Utopia Sprawl. We'll see. Hit our opponent. Down to 19. Untaps. Wooded Foothills. Cracks it. Gets a mountain. And Molten Rain. Yup. Cracks Windswept Heath. Forest. And Arbor Elf. Alright. Well, untap. Play Ghost Quarter. Go to combat. Attack. Play Dryad Militant. And yeah, gotta blow up the Utopia Sprawl land. This does put us to 1 mana, which is less than ideal. 0 mana if our opponent has more land destruction. Opponent. Blood Moon, okay. Blood Moon's not scary. Untaps. Arbor Elf. Ugh. What is scary is Inferno Titan next turn. Displacer. Well, alright. Venerated Loxodon. Grow the Dorks. And we will see. We can survive basically anything but Inferno Titan here. Oh, they have Inferno Titan. Oh, Storm Breath. Okay. We can deal with Storm Breath. Opponent. Passing. Pro White is annoying, though. We draw land. So let's... How do we do this? How do we get through the Storm Breath? That's the big question. If we attack with everything, opponent eats Loxodon, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess that's what we do. Yep. All out attack. This is all we can do. We lose something, which isn't ideal, but eats Loxodon. Takes a bunch. So we will Skyfisher. Pick up a clue. Pass the turn. Alright, can we close it out? What does our opponent have? Tireless Tracker. And a land. Alright. Opponent. Passing. We draw Arbiter. Well, go to combat. Attack. This is all we can do is keep attacking and hope. Opponent blocks. 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 And untaps. Drops to 1. Well, we play Arbiter. And I mean, this is it. Cracks the clue. Opponent needs Inferno Titan this turn. That's the game. Opponent. Or a sweeper, I guess. And scoops it up. And we got there. Oh, boy. Our horde of random dorks was enough to sneak past Panza. The bad news is we don't have a great answer. Actually, let's say any answer. to Inferno Titan. Bring in Burrington Forge Tender. Remorseful Cleric, no. Relic Warder, I guess, is probably fine, even if it's just sniping Relic Warder Fiend Hunter, I guess. Even if it's just sniping Utopia Sprawl, that's something. And then, as far as cuts, that's a bigger question. What do we cut? Arbiter's good. Attacking our opponent's mana is good. I guess we can go down the Skyfisher, which is over with our lands. Go down Skyfisher. Go down Thalia and Wingmare. Alright, run it like that. What do you got, opponent? What do you got? The good news is we're not super susceptible to land destruction because our deck is pretty cheap. Bad news is we don't have good answers for some of our opponent's biggest threats. Arbor Elf for our opponent. And passes. Well, Plains and Judge's Familiar. Pass the turn. Opponent. Untaps. Forest. And oh my god, Utopia Sprawl. Well, that is the draw you want if you're Panza. That is exactly it. Stone Rain. That's not great. Opponent passes. Well, we are susceptible to this land destruction draw. I mean, turn 2 on the play. Opponent has infinite mana. This is a draw that will beat us. Opponent. Oh boy, more. Chandra. Can't do anything about that. Stomping Grounds, untapped. Takes up for mana. And more land destruction. Yeah, this is the Panza dream. That is the Panza nuts. Well, get in with Judge's Familiar. Hit Chandra. Down to 4. But we're super dead. Opponent takes up Chandra. Arbor Elf. Cast it. And gets in. Down to 19. Opponent passes. Well, play a Plains. Attack Chandra. We're not making any meaningful progress, though. Yeah, play Thraben Inspector. Pass the turn. Opponent takes up Chandra. Down to 17. Molten Rain. Opponent passing. Well, go to combat. Attack Chandra. Down to 3. Thraben Inspector. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. As soon as our opponent finds another big threat, it's over. Tireless Tracker works. Yeah, alright. Gets a clue. Untaps. Takes up Chandra. Down to 15. Cracks the clue. Grows Tireless Tracker. Opponent. Passing. Well, we draw land, which means get rid of Tireless Tracker. Opponent cracks. Gets another clue. So many cards have been drawn here, and so many lands destroyed. Well, combat. Everything at Chandra. Opponent cracks a clue. Chandra to 1. Well, let's see what our opponent draws. We're basically hoping for just straight up fizzle. Like draw Glory Bringer. That's not a fizzle. Yup. Takes up for mana. Cracks the clue. Plays a land. Birds of Paradise. Opponent. Thinking about attacking. Attacks. Exerts. Kills Judge's Familiar. Well, we're down to 11. Untap. Combat. Everything at Chandra. Opponent blocks. And blocks. Yup. Well, play a Plains, play Mangara of Corridor. Pass the turn. I mean, we're technically not dead yet. Takes up Chandra, hits Bloodbraid Elf, casts Bloodbraid Elf, hits Kitchen Finks. Yikes. That's a lot of threats. Yup. Untaps. There's more? Oh god, alright, now we're officially dead. Utopia Sprawl. Well, that is the Ponza Dream Draw. It does not get significantly better than that if you're playing Ponza. Good golly. Alright, well, we're on the play. And, well, we'll keep this. Thalia's decent. We don't have any removal, unfortunately. But Plains and Judge is familiar. But maybe we can tempo our opponent out enough. Opponent, untaps. Forest. And Arbor Elf. Oh boy. That's interesting. Well, play a Plains, play Thalia. Go to combat. Hit our opponent. Pass the turn. Do they have Utopia Sprawl? Windswept Heath. Arbor Elf. More Arbor Elves. Opponent. Passing. Well, go to combat. Attack. Play... Let's see. Do we have to just leave up Ghost Quarter? 2 mana land. 2 mana for Utopia Sprawl. Wait, let's see. They play a land. Have to pay 2 for Utopia Sprawl. Tap, untap, tap, untap. So they could just Inferno Titan, and then we can't win. On the other hand, if they had Utopia Sprawl, wouldn't they have already played it instead of Arbor Elf last turn? Because you Utopia Sprawl and then still play Arbor Elf. Alright, so we will play Field of Ruin, play Eldrazi Displacer, pass the turn. Well, we'll see what happens. Opponent cracks Windswept Heath, Stomping Grounds tapped, untaps, Forest, untaps, Storm Breath Dragon. Alright, opponent passes. Well, alright, we 1, 2, 3. Play Militia Bugler. Go digging. Take Mangara. Play a land. Venerated Loxodon. Pass the turn, hope for no whammies, basically. Opponent. Land. Untaps. Molten Rain. Okay. Untaps. Arbor Elf. Yup. Opponent. Passing. This Storm Breath. Well, I think what we have to do here is play a Plains, play Mangara, and pass the turn. Hope that we keep living. If we remain in the land of the living, we do get to start exiling stuff next turn. And our Mangara sticks around. Opponent untaps. Land. They have some very good draws here. Opponent. What do they got? I mean, I guess they can also just Monstrous Storm Breath and start attacking, and that might win the race. Chandra kills Displacer. Good choice. Opponent passes. More Ghost Quarters. Boy, that was so close to being good. Get rid of Chandra. Play Ghost Quarter. Pass the turn. Yeah, Storm Breath is kind of a big issue. I think this is the only deck in Modern that plays it, but it is really wrecking us. Alright, untap. Tithe Taker. Ghost Quarter. Yeah, if Storm Breath was any other creature in Magic, well, apart from Inferno Titan, I think we win the game, but the Storm Breath just locks us down. We're going to have to go back to just suiciding our team into Storm Breath, because our opponent's going to draw more stuff. Stone Rain. Okay. Opponent. Passing. Drawing, our best draw, I think, is just Declaration in Stone. Field of Ruin a land to thin our deck. Grab a Plains. Untap. Alright, well, play Leonin Arbiter. Go to combat. All-out attack. This is all we can do. It worked in game 1. Maybe we should have started doing this earlier. Opponent eats Venerated Loxodon. Blocks Tithe Taker. Drops to 5. We get a token. Alright, pass the turn, see what our opponent draws. Oh my god. Wow. Well, that is what you call timely. Timely reinforcements. Opponent passes. Locks it on. It's too late. Oh, wow. Well, it's possible we punted. It's possible we should have been all-out attacking earlier. Really needed to draw a declaration in stone. Well, Stormbreath Dragon. Protection from white. Maybe we need a Dismember in the sideboard or something. I mean, Ponza's like tier 4 right now, and Stormbreath is only played in Ponza, so I don't know if we should be building our deck around a protection from white creature that is played in like 0.01% of decks in Modern, but it did wreck us. That is an unfortunate situation. I still think if we started all-out attacking a turn earlier, we might have got there. And if our opponent didn't have up so much mana from the Arbor Elves, we could have kept them off red mana, but the fact that they had double Arbor Elf meant that by the time we drew Arbiter, it was too late to put them off red mana, which means we couldn't stop the Titan, which means, well, our opponent top-decked very fortunately. However, we might have been able to play in a more aggressive way to cut that top deck out. Like, maybe we could have had our opponent to a position where they couldn't Inferno Titan that game with how it played out. So, in some sense, yeah, we got unlucky. In another sense, maybe we should have played more aggressively, even though it just means suiciding our board repeatedly into that Stormbreath Dragon. But what else are we going to do? Interesting. Interesting game. All right. Budget Magic time. We are playing some mono white taxes in Modern. And, yeah, I mean, this hand's fine. We would like to draw land. Okay. Well, Gemstone Caverns, usually a pretty clear sign that something unfair is happening. Colorless Eldrazi. Well, play a Plains, Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. Pass the turn. This should be an interesting battle. We would like to just naturally draw a land. Please no Eldrazi Temples. Cavern. That's fine. We do not on Goblin. Alright. I guess our opponent... What is happening? Oh my god. Skirk Prospector. It is a... Eldrazi Goblins? What's going on? What in the world? Opponent passes. Well, we draw a Field of Ruin. Play Tithe Taker. Get in with Thraben Inspector. I have not seen Eldrazi and Goblins mash together. That's a new one. Pass the turn. Opponent. Maybe there's some sort of combo I'm not thinking of? Like Dirty Kitty Eldrazi? Ravenon Druids. Or maybe this is just purely to speed out Eldrazi quicker. That would also make sense. Opponent. Thought Not Seer. Alright. Well, our hand is actually pretty good. All the cards in our hand are good. They probably have to take Displacer? I actually don't know. All of these cards, they take Declaration in Stone. That's fine. Opponent. No attacks. Well, we will play Field of Ruin. And yeah, let's just locks it on. Grow the Dorks. Pass the turn. So I think this is just basically colorless Eldrazi with red mana to have Skirk Prospector as like a bad Lotus Petal. That seems like the plan. Opponent. Hazoret. Alright. Hazoret is obnoxious. Free win Eldrazi? Oh, it even gets to attack right away? Alright, opponent passes. Well, play Judge's Familiar. Play a Plains. Play Eldrazi Displacer. And, yeah. Pass the turn. We do have some decent defense, especially with this Displacer, letting us exile stuff. Opponent. Eldrazi Temple. Slightly less scary on turn 4. Chandra. Okay. Opponent going up the ladder. Opponent. No attacks. Alright. Well, let's see what we draw. Plains. So play the Plains. Eldrazi Displacer. Hazoret. Combat. Everything at Chandra except Displacer. So opponent can eat something with Thought Knot if they want to. We basically got to get this Chandra off the battlefield as quickly as possible. Preferably quickly enough that it doesn't get to kill something. Like this Eldrazi Displacer. Opponent blocks. And blocks. Okay, that's fine. So Chandra goes to 1. But we're pretty well set up to kill it next turn. We are going to take a beating here, which isn't great. Opponent takes up. Down to 16. Plays a Rabble Master. Okay. Combat. Makes a Goblin. Attacks. 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 Well, we will... This actually isn't the greatest. We gotta get rid of this Hazoret. Block. Sack a Clue. Land. Okay. Down to 7. Opponent passes. Thalia. So we gotta kill Chandra. That's step 1. I'll go to combat. Chandra. Actually, Chandra. Opponent. Chandra, opponent. This Rabble Master comes online. How do we do this? Let's leave back Loxodon. Chandra. Opponent. Play Thalia. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. So we can blink Hazoret. This is really close. Opponent goes to combat. So we will blink Hazoret. Opponent. Attacks. Attacks. Alright. So, kill Thought-Knot. Block the Goblin. Draw a card. We draw Tithe Taker. Yep. Opponent. Alright, discards Cavern. Sure. 5. So we basically can't take any damage. But we have to kill our opponent really quickly. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go to combat. Attack with everything. Opponent takes it. Down to 9. So play Tithe Taker. Pass the turn. Boy, this is going to come right down to the end. Opponent draws. Reality Smasher is the worst draw. That's the draw that just beats us. Actually, I guess it doesn't just beat us, but it's bad. Opponent. Did they top deck? Smuggler's Copter. Okay, that's fine. So now we blink Hazoret. Opponent gets a Copter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think we have it. I think this does it. Just got there. Opponent. Combat. Goblin. Attacks. Attacks. Yup. Sure. So we just block Rabble Master. Go to 4. Get a token. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's lethal. And we got there. Whew! Well, that was close. That was super close. But it worked. It worked out in the end. All right. Opponent's playing Mono Red Eldrazi Prison, I guess. It probably means Blood Moon is less likely. Blood Moon seems like a tough sell for that deck. So I think we want Burrington Forge Tender. Can block red things all day. Graveyard Hate, no. Eidolon of Rhetoric, no. Fiend Hunter actually seems reasonable. Fiend Hunter in. Go down. Probably a Judge's Familiar. A Judge's Familiar. And do we want Lone Missionary? The life gain could actually be relevant. Maybe like Lone Missionary. Judge's Familiar just doesn't feel that good against this deck. Maybe we cut all the Judge's Familiars and bring in a couple Lone Missionaries. Going down, I guess Skyfisher? Alright, try it like that. Wait, we have 61 cards? Why do we have 61 cards? That can't be right. Huh. Well, we'll figure that out between games. Well, okay. This is a land-heavy hand, but we get a redraw with Thraben Inspector, and Declaration in Stone seems really good against our opponent's deck. So I think it's worth trying. Gemstone Caverns, opponent passes. Well, Plains and Thrabes. Pass the turn. Opponent. Seagate Wreckage. Opponent's on the colorless plan. Ratchet Bomb. Yup. Opponent. Passing. Well, play the Plains, get in with Thraben Inspector, hit our opponent. And I think we just cracked the clue because of Ratchet Bomb. Opponent's going to leave it on 0 for now. Mountain. Metallic Mimic. This is certainly spicy. On Eldrazi. Well, crack the clue. Ugh, another Ghost Quarter. Arbiter would be sweet. Skyfisher. Well, play a Plains. Get in with Thraben Inspector. Hit our opponent. Play Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. Play Skyfisher. Pick up Thraben Inspector. And pass the turn. Well, let's see what big Horrible Eldrazi our opponent has. Ticks up Ratchet Bomb. Scavenger Grounds. So that's Thought Not mana. And it'll be a 5/5 because of this Mimic. And it'll take our Declaration in Stone, which isn't great. Thankfully, no Chandra mana at the moment. Opponent. I think we have a Declaration for you, opponent. Opponent passes. Venerated Loxodon. So play this. Yeah, we got a Declaration in Stone here. We must. So, Declaration in Stone. Get rid of both Mimics. Although our opponent is going to get to draw a couple cards. Opponent. Whoa! Dismembers their own Mimic. Alright. Well, play a Ghost Quarter. Go to combat. Attack. We'd love to finally own an Arbiter to go to town with these Ghost Quarters. I'm surprised our opponent didn't want that card draw. Wow. Alright, Thraben Inspector, number 2. What is our opponent's hand? That is the craziest trade I've ever... That sequence is blowing my mind. Ticks up Ratchet Bomb. I guess maybe they figure they gotta kill the Skyfisher anyway, or something? I'm very confused. Opponent. Hazoret. Yup. Can't attack or block yet, though. Opponent. Passes. Oh, Fiend Hunter. I think we need our opponent to blow this Ratchet Bomb first, though. Go to combat. Get him with Skyfisher. Hit our opponent. Blow it. Yes. All right. Opponent blows it. So we play Ghost Quarter. Fiend Hunter. Get rid of the Hazoret. Yes. And we'll pass the turn. Now our opponent needs to get rid of the Fiend Hunter to get back their Hazoret. Opponent. What do you got? Thought Not Seer. All right. Well, there goes Venerated Loxodon. Thankfully, we have a couple card draws on the battlefield. Opponent. Passing. Well, all right. Clue 1. Wingmare. Well, clue 2. There's Arbiter. All right. Play a Plains. Play Arbiter. Ghost Quarter the Mountain. Ghost Quarter the... Seagate Wreckage. Pass the turn. Opponent. Taps. Only 2 mana. Ugh, draws a Cavern. Alright. On Eldrazi. Opponent. Passing? Opponent's passing. Alright. Ooh. Well. Play Mangara of Corndor. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. Opponent. Taps. What do they find? Nothing. We draw Plains. Well, get rid of Thought Not. Draw a card. Play a Plains. All out attack. Oh, if we had this Displacer going with Mangara, it'd be so good. Down to 8. Wingmare. Eldrazi Displacer. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's lethal. We're presenting lethal. Opponent's only got 3 mana. And that was a pretty pretty proficient performance. And our opponent scoops it up, and even with 6... Why do we have 61 cards, though? That is a concern. We should not have 61 cards. We have... Huh. What is our... I mean, that was a good performance. We do have one too many cards somewhere, though. And I'm not sure... I guess it's supposed to be 2 Tithe Takers? Now I'm confused. So what happened, and I don't know what I did wrong. Originally, I had 3 Venerated Loxodons, and I felt like I wanted another one. So I added the 4th Venerated Loxodon, and I thought I cut... Originally, we had more Field of Ruins. We had the full 4 Field of Ruins with the Ghost Quarters. But apparently, I did something wrong with the cutting. The cutting of cards. Yeah, I think we just go down a Tithe Taker and run it like that. We have plenty of 2-drops. Yeah, that seems fine. 33 creatures is good. Well, regardless, we took them down even with 1 too many cards, which I guess makes it doubly sweet. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. Sweet, 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 sweet. See, that's doubly sweet. Ignore me. Ignore me. Next game, please. Hurry. Ignore. Alright, budget magic time. We are playing some mono white taxes. And, yeah, sounds fine. 1 more land would be nice. 1 more land, or I guess a 2-drop, lets us convoke out Loxodon on 3. Misty Rainforest. Opponent cracks it. And Breeding Pool. And, oh boy, Arbor Elf. Alright. Well, play a Plains, play Judge's Familiar. Pass the turn. Opponent. Oh god. There it is. Come on, Field of Ruins. Untaps. Taps. Birds. Birds. Opponent passes. I'll play a Plains. Get in with Judge's Familiar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's so much mana. Let's Arbiter. Pass the turn. Arbiter stops like a Primeval Titan. I do not feel good about where we're at. That's just a ton of mana. Ghost Quarter would make our day. Or Field of Ruin at this point. Either one. Taps, untaps. Taps. 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 6 mana. Hydroid Crosses. Alright. That's big. And draws many cards. And a fetch land. Okay. We get Plains. Well, play the Plains. Judge's Familiar. Declaration in Stone. God. I guess Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. And opponent Stomping Grounds. Untapped. Taps, untaps. Taps. Garrick. Okay. Oh boy. That's a lot of mana. Opponent untaps. Tireless Tracker. That's making our life worse. Opponent passes. Okay, we draw. Arbiter. Play an Arbiter. Play Venerated Loxodon. Grow the Dorks. I think we're just too far behind mana-wise, though. Opponent untaps. And oh boy. Our 8 Ghost Quarter Field, or 7 Ghost Quarter and Field of Ruin seems so good against this deck, but we're not good at drawing them. Opponent. At least this game. A little bit sad to see us getting wrecked by these enchantments that we have so many answers for. Opponent. Yeah. 8 mana. That's a lot. Cracks a Clue. Okay. Cracks a Clue. Okay. Land gets a clue. Jeez. Opponent. Combat. Passes. We draw Vren Wingmare. Well, play Wingmare. Pass the turn. Opponent pays for Arbiters. Cracks a fetch. Breeding Pool gets a clue. Well, one way to get around taxing effects is just to make ungodly amounts of mana. And our opponent's been doing that very successfully. Opponent. Utopia Sprawl. Boy, I wish we could draw some of our Field of Ruins. That would be spectacular. Taps, untaps. Yeah, we should be dead here. Opponent has so much mana now that they can play through all of our taxing effects. Yeah, that's 15 mana. Opponent. Okay. Yeah, alright. Well, let's go to sideboarding. We just did not really draw our stuff in the right order that game. We didn't draw any of our Field of Ruins. We have 4 Ghost Quarters, 3 Field of Ruins, and we just could not find one to save our lives. Go down the 2 Dryad Militants, I think. Go up 2 Fiend Hunters, 1 Relic Warder, and go down, I guess, 1 Tithe Taker. Run it like that. So we really need to get our Field of Ruin Ghost Quarter plan, because our opponent's throwing those enchantments on non-basic lands. They are just ultra greed mode. So if we could draw those, we could have a lot of potential to blow our opponent out. And that doesn't even include having an Arbiter to really rub it in. Alright, well, we'll try this. We do have a Ghost Quarter, which is good. We're a little mana pinched, which isn't great. Opponent. Winds of Teeth. Cracks it. Playing Forest. Arbor Elf. Okay. Opponent passes. Land? Field of Ruin. I'll play Field of Ruin. Play Arbiter. Get in with Raven Inspector. Pass the turn. Does our opponent have the combo? They don't know about the Ghost Quarter, which is good. Forest. Utopia Sprawl. Alright. Well, they do have that. And taps, untaps. Tireless Tracker. Alright. Opponent passes. We draw Plains. So I think our plan here is play Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter the Forest. Get in with Arbiter. Wow, opponent's gonna block. All right. Play Skyfisher. Pick up Thraben Inspector. Pass the turn. Opponent. Nykthos. Taps, untaps. Overgrowth. Okay, well, Relic Order takes care of that for now. Play a Plains. Play Relic Order. Snag the Overgrowth. Go attacking. This is going a little bit more like we hoped. We're keeping our opponent pinched on mana for the time being. Opponent. Taps, untaps. Eternal Witness. Gonna get back to Tireless Tracker. Okay. Misty. Opponent. Passing. Well, go to combat. Get in with Skyfisher. Play Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. Ghost Quarter. Alright, let's just Displacer. Play Displacer. Pass the turn. Little risky to not kill Nykthos this turn. We'll see what our opponent can do. Untaps. Taps, untaps. Tracker. Opponent. Passes. Yup. We untap. Ooh, Declaration in Stone. That's not bad. So, Declaration in Stone Tracker. Opponent cracks. Breeding Pool tapped. Gets a clue. Okay. Gets another clue. Get in with Displacer. And then just locks it on. And see what happens. We got a pretty decent clock. Grow the Dorks. Pass the turn. All right, opponent. What do you got? Fighting the man has worked this game. Opponent. Or hopefully is working. We'll see. We kept our opponent from doing what they did in game 1 at least. Nykthos doesn't add any extra mana. I guess it doesn't actually do anything yet. They can play 1-drops for free, sort of. Eternal Witness. Okay. Gets back a Forest. Yup. Plays the Forest. And passes. Oh. Alright, well, we got a plan, and that is Declarations don't Eternal Witness. An opponent scoops it up. We got there through the big mana, and that's the recipe. That is our recipe for success. Basically got to just tax and tempo them out. So it can work. It's possible. Going to be a little trickier here on the draw, but it can still work. We saw the recipe. Yeah, run it back. Annoy, win eventually. That is the way of the taxes. Oh, this hand. Okay. I mean, we're going to keep this. We have infinite Ghost Quarter effects to fight the big mana plan. We'll see. We got a touch of removal. Opponent, Forest. Utopia Sprawl. Opponent passes. Well, Ghost Quarter. Get rid of the Utopia Sprawl. Pass the turn. This does leave us with 0 lands. Breeding Pool tapped. Yup. Well, we will. Plains go. Opponent untaps. What do they got? Misty Rainforest. Cracks it. Breeding Pool. Untapped. Overgrowth. Well, now we're going to have to take another turn off. Actually, no, we don't. We can play a Plains and just Relic Order. Get rid of the Overgrowth. That works. Now we can keep casting stuff, which is good. Opponent untaps. Still only 3 mana. And we technically have 2 removal spells in hand. Man, Arbiter would be insane. Winds up teeth. Opponent cracks it. Forest. And more Overgrowth. And Eternal Witness. To get back. Utopia Sprawl. Well, opponent passes. Arbiter. Alright, well, play Thalia. Ghost Quarter. The Overgrowth land. Not full value, but it's what we gotta do. Opponent. Lost Connection? I'm assuming this is a natural Lost Connection. That would be my guess, that our opponent will return. And not that they're running away from our Ghost Quarters. Yeah, they're back. Alright. We're trying. Man, if we had Arbiter, this would have been an insane hand. But we are fighting the good fight. Keeping the enchantments off the battlefield, mostly. Probably going to be a hard deck to run out of basics. Opponent, come on. Only 3 forests. Somehow. Alright, there's the Forest. Well, we got to pass the turn. We can't trade Relic Order with Eternal Witness. Birds of Paradise for our opponent. And Utopia Sprawl. Yup. Opponent. Passing. Another Thalia is not super helpful. We'll get in with Thalia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play a Plains. Fiend Hunter. The Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. Land. 6 mana. Garrick. Makes a beast. And passes. Loxodon. Well, I guess our plan is deck and stone the beast. Combat. This is a hard attack. If we send everything at Garrick, we kill Garrick, but we give our opponent back this overgrowth, which is scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we don't send everything at Garrick, Garrick lives. They don't get overgrowth, but they get to untap lands with Garrick. Yeah, alright. Gotta kill it. You can have back your overgrowth. Opponent cracks. Gets a forest. Yep. Blocks. Garrick dies. Gets back overgrowth. Well, let's see what's in our opponent's hand. Now we're to the point where we gotta hope they whiff a bit. Well, play Field of Ruin. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent. What's that last card? What is it? Hopefully nothing. Just a land, please. Random Mana Dork. Something like that. No Hydroid Crosses. Ugh. Of course. Alright. Well, we tried. They had it. Not much we can do about it. Well, Hydroid Crosses does seem good for decks like this, that's for sure. Play Wingmare. Yeah, I think we're just dead, though. Now our opponent has a full hand and a 6/6 Flying Trample. We needed them to be out of action, but they weren't. Well, we tried. Opponent gets in, hits us. Down to 14. Another huge thing. Primeval Titan. Alright. Well, we gave it a run. Unfortunately, our opponent had the action. The problem with decks like that, which is kind of interesting because Hydroid Crosses does seem good because it helps solve this problem to some extent, is that you draw either all ramp and no finishers or all finishers and no ramp. So, unfortunately, our opponent had the mixture there. They drew a couple of threats, a ton of ramp, and we fought the good fight, but our opponent just had the right mixture that game, unfortunately. Man, if we had an Arbiter of that match, would have been so sweet. Alright, budget magic time. We are playing some mono white taxes in Modern. And, basic Mountain. Basic Theros Mountain. Opponent. What's going on? Alright, Judge's Familiar. Burn, maybe? Could be Burn. Could be, I guess, a lot of things. Burn would be my first guess. Or, like, Goblins. Could be Goblins. Opponent. Another Mountain. Alright, gotta be Burn or Goblins. It's Goblins. Yup. Well, there's some Goblin tokens. Opponent. Maybe we should have Judge's Familiar that. I don't know. It's close. It's close. Well, play Leon and Arbiter. Doesn't seem great in this matchup. Get in with Judge's Familiar. And pass the turn. Opponent. Displacer is a good way to deal with tokens. Mountain. Goblin Motivator. Okay, interesting. And Lightning Bolt on Judge's Familiar. Opponent, combat. Passes. Well, let's see what we draw here. Ghost Quarter. I'll play Ghost Quarter. Man, this is tough. Tough, tough, tough. I'm a little scared at what could be coming down. Let's play it slow. Let's Ghost Quarter. And Judge's Familiar. I mean, if our opponent wanted that Judge's Familiar dead so badly that they're going to bold it, this feels like it could be wise. Pass the turn. Opponent. Another Mountain. And combat. No attacks. Anger of the Gods. You know what? I think we're okay with this. Sure. Opponent passes. Well, play a Plains. Play Mangara of Corridor. We can do some shenanigans if we get Mangara Displacer going. Opponent's only got 2 cards in hand. I don't know about Anger of the Gods, Krenko Command Goblin Motivator deck. Opponent, Krenko Mob Boss. Alright, well, that's gonna have to go. Deckenstone, maybe? Militant. Well, alright. Mangara, get rid of it. Play Ghost Quarter. Play Mangara. Play Dryad Militant. Pass the turn. Well, we still got Displacer. We'll see what our opponent has. This could work. Land for our opponent. And passing. Okay, that's good news. If we can get this Displacer going, it's so sweet. Combat. Get in with Militant. Hit our opponent. Play Displacer. Shenanigans assembled. Opponent untaps. Does the fun get to begin? Land. Done! Done, done, done! We can exile something every turn. The way Mangara works, it's so weird. You tap it and put the ability on the stack. It doesn't exile as part of the cost. It exiles as part of the resolution. So we tap it with Mangara still on the battlefield. That puts the exiled Mangara and another permanent on the stack. And then we can displace it. We still get to exile the permanent, but Mangara saves itself. So we could just exile something every single turn on that plan. All right, opponent's playing mono red. So we want Burrington Forge Tenders. We want Lone Missionaries. And possibly Fiend Hunters. What we don't really want is Leonin Arbiter doesn't seem helpful. They're not playing any fetches. I guess Thalia's fine-ish. What else is our worst cards? Dryad Militant seems sketchy in a land of 1/1 tokens. One more card to cut. We can't let Krenko go crazy. It might just be Wingmare. Wingmare's medium. Displacer, good. Bugler, fine. Thalia, pretty good. Mangara, Skyfisher? Yeah, let's cut a Wingmare. That's fine. Run it like that. X1's against a token deck, not ideal. Declaration Stone is actually, yes, and we have it, is actually pretty hilarious against a token deck, because it's almost like close to a Wrath in a weird way. Mountain for our opponent. This hand is pretty land heavy. Legion Loyalist, alright, here comes the dorks. Opponent hits us. Yeah. Down to 19. And passes. Play of Plains. Thrabes. Pass the turn. Our 1/2 does beat Legion Loyalist, technically. Ooh, they have Mutavaults. Well, that makes our Field of Ruins a little bit more tenable. Opponent, combat. No attacks. We draw Plains. Well, go to combat. Attack. Opponent takes it. Play a Plains. Play Skyfisher. Pick up Thrabes. And yeah, pass the turn. Alright, opponent. Show us what you got. Hopefully nothing too good. Opponent. Alright, there goes Skyfisher. Ooh, okay. Okay. Opponent. Gonna get in. Hit us. Sure. Down to 17. And passes. We draw Loxodon. Well, play Field of Ruin. Field of Ruin, the Mutavault. Get a Plains. Play Thraben Inspector. Clue number 2. And pass the turn. Not feeling too bad with these 2 Declaration and Stones in hand. Like, if things get too out of control, we do have removal. Mountain for our opponent. Motivator. Sure. Pumps Foundry Street. And Burning. Oh, boy. If they have a Bushwhacker, too, then that's scary. That's a lot of damage. Grows Foundry Street. Oh, my God. Another one. Burning trees for days. Okay. If this ends with a Bushwhacker, I'm going to cry. Opponent. All right, no Bushwhacker. That's good, at least. Opponent gets in. Well, I mean, we will take your trade. Stay at 17. We draw Fiend Hunter. So play a Plains. Declaration of Stone, Burning Trees. This does give our opponent some cards, unfortunately. And pass the turn. Start cracking clues. Turning the Burning Trees into card draw isn't ideal. Opponent. Land. Oh, please not Hasty Krenko. That would be sad. Cracks a clue. Okay. Motivator is scary with Krenko. That's for sure. Cracks a clue. All right. That's fine. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. So now I think we're just going to Fiend Hunter Motivator to make sure we don't get Hasty Krenko'd. Crack a clue. Tide Taker. Yup. That's not the worst. It blocks twice. Opponent passes. Ooh, Militia Bugler. All right, we're going to wait on that. We're going to start with Fiend Hunter. Get rid of the Motivator to prevent Hasty Krenko shenanigans. Non-Hasty Krenko's fine, because we have this deck in stone. Tide Taker. Pass the turn. We might actually be in fine shape here, depending on what our opponent has. Opponent. Land. Light up the stage. Full price. Lightning Bolt and... Well, alright, those are good ones. Not bad. Foundry Street. Can Lightning Bolt the Fiend Hunter. Now we got to go back to worrying about Hasty Krenko being a big issue. Gets back Motivator. Yup. Opponent. 2 cards in hand. No attacks. We draw Thalia. Alright, let's crack the clue. Play Thalia. Get in with Tithe Taker. We can't really block anyway because of this Legion Loyalist with our Tithe Taker. Pass the turn. Mountain. Bone it. Thinking it over. Combat. Wow, does our opponent have nothing? That would be good news. Opponent passing? Okay, that we like. We draw planes. That's actually interesting. So play the planes, play Militia Bugler. Go digging. Take a Judge's Familiar. Play Judge's Familiar. Play Venerated Loxodon. Grow the Dorks. Pass the turn. And we might just go bigger. Our opponent not doing anything last turn makes me think their hand is not good. Lands, Anger the Gods maybe. I don't know what else they would not be casting. Podet, combat. Attacks, attacks, attacks. We will take it. I assume this means they have Anger the Gods in hand. And they want to cast it. So we're just going to take 3. Because this keeps our Loxodon alive. Along with Militia Bugler. And then we should win post-Anger. Opponent. Okay, Goblin Grenade. Yup. Anger. Well, sack Judge's Familiar. Opponent pays. So we have a Militia Bugler. We got through our opponent's hand. Opponent passes. Well, go to combat. Get in with Bugs. Opponent down to 14. Yeah, I don't know about Anger of the Gods. Opponent's playing that main deck. That seems sketchy to me. Play Wingmare. Play Mangara. Pass the turn. And, I mean, it seems like we're in reasonable shape. We're ahead on board and... Alright, Krenko. And Pile Driver. Opponent. Passing. Well, let's see what we hit. We might have to just Mangara Krenko. Definitely can't let our opponent start making tons of goblins. And Pile Driver is not that scary without friends. Would rather not give our opponent a card draw if we had the option. Another Declaration in Stone. Alright, so... Alright, let's Declaration in Stone. Give him the card draw, unfortunately. Having Mangara sitting on the battlefield stops haste shenanigans, which is nice. Go attacking. Hit our opponent. 4-5. Pass the turn. Down to 9. Opponent untaps. At 12, we're not really in danger of getting burnt out. And opponent scoops it up, and that was pretty good. That was the power of Mangara. Mangara can be pretty impressive in some matches. Huh. Maybe we should play more. We only have 2. Maybe we should just be a Mangara deck. It can be kind of slow, though. Especially in a budget build. It's a card that I think gets a lot better when you have Aether Vial, which is one of the biggest upgrades you can make to a deck like this. With Aether Vial, you can do some shenanigans where you cheat stuff into play and have your mana up for Displacer or whatever, but a little bit tougher in a land without Aether Vial. But it was still really good, even without Aether Vial, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, alright. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So what do we learn this week about mono white taxes in Modern? And overall, 5 matches, won 3 of them, so not bad for a budget deck. Oddly, our 2 losses, they had a common theme. They were Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl decks, and it might be that those decks are kind of a rough matchup. We lost to Panza. We also lost to Green Devotion, the 2 Arbor Elf decks. And the thing in those matchups, well, against Panza, it was really Stormbeth Dragon. We just did not have a way to get through a Stormbeth Dragon. I kind of feel like I might have misplayed there, and we maybe needed to start just like mass attacking into the Stormbreath Dragon a turn earlier, and it might have shifted the math, but we talked about that in the match. And then against Green Devotion, they just had so much mana that all of our taxing effects, they were much less effective. Like, sure, you got a Thalia, sure, you got a Wingmare, your opponent's got to pay a little bit more mana, but if you have like 10 mana on the battlefield, those effects are a lot less helpful. So those felt like rough matchups. On the other hand, we took down Sultai Wilderness Reclamation, a mono-red like Eldrazi prison deck, and goblins, and the deck felt pretty good in those matchups. The value engines are strong. The taxing effects are surprisingly good. Sultai Wilderness Reclamation is probably the best example where our opponent had the answers that they needed. We saw them like trying to Cryptic Command and do this stuff, but having like a Judge's Familiar and a Thalia and these annoying little effects, a Dryad Militant keeping Mystical Teaching out of the graveyard, all those things really added up to a way more than the sum of their parts. And that's the cool thing about this deck, is it's very synergistic in the way that like taxing mana makes our Thalias us better, and then that makes our arbiters better, and our displacer combos also gives us card advantage. So there's a lot of cool synergies in the deck, and these little pretty innocent, underpowered seeming cards really mesh together really well and end up being way better than the sum of their parts. So it's a pretty sweet deck. The other thing, as I mentioned in the intro, I really like about this deck is it is a very upgradable deck. If you want to do one thing to improve the deck, it is an expensive thing, but one thing to improve the deck, you just add an Aether Vial and play this exact same deck, and it would make the deck better. The other thing is there's a lot of different Death and Taxes varieties you can go towards. You can go into green. You can play Eldrazi to go with Eldrazi Displacer. So there's a lot of directions you can go with the tax archetype. Even blue-white has potential. So you can go all these different directions. So if you buy this base, there's a lot of things you can do to work towards a more tier deck. So the deck feels competitive as is, would be even more competitive with just Aether Vial, and then can upgrade into like legitimate second tier 2.5 decks in the format. So all around, the deck is fun if you like annoying your opponents with not like prison pieces. It's not like we're locking people out of the game, making them not play Magic. We're just making them pay a little bit more for those cryptic commands and growth spirals and lightning bolts. If you like that style of gameplay, it seems like a really fun option, and it's definitely super cheap. You get some really functional cards that work in other archetypes. So all around, it was sweet. I enjoyed mono white taxes. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Anyway, that's been our budget magic for this week. Mono white taxes for Modern. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.